Welcome to the reality revolution. This is the I remember when activation. The most successful people in history discovered something that traditional manifestation teachers never tell you. The back door into your subconscious mind is through memory. When you close this video, your life will be divided into two distinct chapters before you discovered the I remember when technique and everything that came after. Today I'm going to show you how to hack your brain's memory system to manifest your desires with unprecedented speed and accuracy. This is something Neville Goddard discovered decades ago, but most people have completely overlooked. The strangest part is you have actually been using this technique your entire life without realizing it, sometimes to create exactly what you don't want. By the end of this activation, you'll know how to flip that hidden switch and direct this power consciously. Your future self is already using this technique, and they are already living the results, and they remember exactly when everything changed for them right here in this activation. Let me ask you something. Which feels more real to you? A fantasy about winning the lottery someday, or your memory of your first kiss? That difference in feeling is exactly what we're leveraging today. Neville Goddard, one of my very favorite manifestation teachers, found that when you shift your desires from wishful thinking into the realm of memory, they manifest with astonishing speed. He called this technique I remember when. And brain science now confirms exactly why it works so powerfully. Here's what modern neuroscience tells us. When you visualize something you want, your brain activates the prefrontal cortex, the planning center. But when you remember something, your brain activates the hippocampus, the reality processing center. Your subconscious mind treats memories as confirmed reality, as evidence of what's true about your world. The distinction is crucial. Your brain has a built-in skepticism toward visualizations because they're tagged as imaginary. But memories, your brain accepts them as proven fact. Notice how differently your body responds when you remember success versus when you merely hope for it. There's a certainty in memory that visualization can never achieve. This is why people struggle with traditional manifestation techniques. They're trying to convince their subconscious mind through the front door of visualization when the back door of memory has been unlocked the entire time. When you transform your desires into memories, something remarkable happens. Your subconscious doesn't debate whether these things can happen. It simply accepts that they already have. And then it goes to work reorganizing your perception, your opportunities, and your actions to align with what it now believes is your reality. In the next few minutes, you're going to experience firsthand how to create these powerful memories of the future that will reshape your present circumstances. And once you master this technique, you'll understand why Neville considered it his most potent teaching, one that most of his students overlooked in favor of simpler methods. The bridge between where you are now and where you want to be isn't made of wishes, it's made of memories. Memories you're about to create. Now let's begin creating these powerful memory structures together. I want you to choose 3 areas of your life where you most desire change. Maybe it's your financial situation, your health, your relationships, or your career success. Just let 3 specific areas come to mind naturally. For each area, I want you to identify one specific outcome that would represent meaningful transformation. Not just more money, but perhaps financial freedom where bills are automatically paid without worry. Not just better health, but waking up every morning with abundant energy and vitality. Get specific about what real transformation looks like in each area. Got those 3 outcomes in mind? Good. Now we're going to do something that might feel strange at first. But stay with me because this is where the real power begins. We're going to step into a timeline where these outcomes have already happened. They're not wishes anymore, they're memories. And I'll guide you through transforming them one by one. Let's start with the transformation you identified. Remember when you used to struggle with this? Remember the weight of it, the worry, the frustration. It seems almost difficult to connect with those feelings now, doesn't it? Because that was before everything changed. Remember when you first noticed things shifting in this area? There was that moment. Maybe it was subtle. Maybe it was dramatic. When you realized something was different. What was that moment? When did you first notice the change beginning? Just allow that memory to form naturally. And then remember the turning point when everything transformed completely. The moment when you realized this challenge that had seemed so permanent was now in your past. What do you remember about that day? Where were you? What were you wearing? Who was the first person you told about this transformation? Remember the feeling of relief, of satisfaction, of genuine joy that came with this change. Feel how your body relaxed, how your breathing deepened, how your energy expanded when this area of your life transformed. That feeling is still accessible to you now, isn't it? And think about all that's happened since that transformation, the cascade of positive changes that followed, the new opportunities that emerged, the different choices you made, the way people responded to you differently. It's amazing how changing one area creates a ripple effect through everything else. Remember when people started to notice the change in you? What did they say? How did their perception of you shift? Remember specific conversations where people acknowledge this transformation. Hear their words, see their expressions of surprise and admiration. Now let's move to your second desired transformation. Remember, this was still something you wished for rather than a memory you can revisit any time. That seems like such a long time ago. Now let's move to the second transformation you identified. I will ask the same questions. Remember when you used to struggle with this? Remember the weight of it, the worry, the frustration. Remember when you first noticed things shifting in this area? There was that moment, maybe it was subtle, maybe it was dramatic, when you realized something was different. What was that moment? Allow the memory to form naturally. And remember that turning point when everything transformed completely. And you realize that challenge that seemed so permanent was in your past. Remember the feeling of relief, of satisfaction, of genuine joy that came with this change. Feel how your body relaxed, your breathing deepened, how your energy expanded when this area of your life transformed. And think about all that's happened since that transformation, the cascade of wonderful changes that followed, the incredible opportunities that emerged, the different choices that you made. It's amazing how changing this one area created a change in everything else. Remember when people noticed this change in you? Now let's move to your third desired transformation. When this was something you wished for, rather than a memory you can revisit any time. Remember when you used to struggle with this? Remember how you worried and how frustrating it was? It's hard to remember all those feelings you had about it. Remember when you started to notice changes. There was a moment, maybe it was dramatic, when you realized something was different. What was that moment? When did you first notice the change beginning? Remember that turning point where everything transformed completely, the moment you realized this challenge, which was so difficult to overcome, was long gone. What did you remember about that? Remember the feelings of satisfaction, relief, genuine happiness that come from this shift. How your body felt, how your energy expanded. So much has happened since this transformation. The new opportunities that emerged are amazing. It's amazing how changing this area has created a change in your entire life. And remember when people notice this change in you. Notice how each memory you create, your certainty grows stronger. This isn't wishful thinking. These are memories your subconscious mind is beginning to accept as real experiences. Remember when you first tried this. I remember when technique. Remember your curiosity, maybe your slight skepticism. And yet here you are now, experiencing the difference between hoping and remembering when it actually occurred. This is the moment when everything shifts. This is the dividing line in your timeline. Before, you were trying to create a future. Now, you're simply remembering when things changed. Your subconscious mind is already recalibrating, already accepting these new memories as valid experiences to be matched in your physical reality. As you think back to this moment right now, watching this activation, you will recognize it as the turning point, the moment when manifestation transformed from effort into memory, the moment when your desired reality became your remembered reality. Now that these memories are forming, let's make them even more real to your subconscious by enriching them with vivid sensory details. Your brain processes sensory information as evidence of reality, and we're going to use that to our advantage. For that first transformation you remembered, really be there again in that moment of realization. What were the specific sounds around you when you first knew this change had happened? Maybe conversation in the background, music playing, or perhaps a powerful silence. Hear those sounds clearly now as that memory crystallizes. Remember the exact quality of light in that moment. Was it morning sunlight streaming through windows? The warm glow of evening? The crisp brightness of a workplace? See that light touching surfaces around you in that powerful moment of realization. Most importantly, remember the feeling in your body when you first realized you had achieved this transformation, the distinct sensation that flooded through you. Perhaps a wave of relief washing down from your shoulders, or a burst of energy in your chest, or a profound calm settling in your stomach. Feel that physical sensation returning now as you recall this memory. What did you touch or hold differently after this transformation? Maybe you handled money with a new confidence, or moved your body with greater ease, or embraced loved ones with more presence. Feel those tactile sensations in your fingertips now. Even remember any distinct tastes or smells associated with this transformation. Perhaps the celebration meal you enjoyed, or the fresh air of a new environment, or the scent of success that seemed to surround you. Experience those sensations returning now as this memory becomes complete. For your second transformation, remember where you were standing or sitting when you realized this change had fully manifested. Feel the weight of your body in that space, that specific texture of what you were sitting on, or the surface beneath your feet. Remember looking down and seeing yourself dressed differently, carrying yourself differently. See those details vividly now. Recall the first time you described this transformation to someone else. Hear your own voice, speaking with certainty and joy about what had changed. Notice how differently you spoke, the confidence in your tone, the ease in your words. Listen to that transformed voice now as part of your memory. And for your third transformation, remember waking up one morning and instantly knowing something was different. Feel the moment of transition between sleep and wakefulness, when your subconscious already knew the change was complete before your conscious mind fully registered it. Remember looking in the mirror afterward and seeing the visible signs of this transformation, not just in your circumstances, but in your face, your posture, your eyes. The physical evidence that this change had altered not just your situation, but your very being. These sensory details aren't just embellishments. They're the evidence your subconscious mind requires to accept these memories as real. And with each sensory detail you recall, these memories become more firmly established in your mind as events that have already occurred. Notice how differently your body feels now compared to when we started. The relaxation in your muscles, the slight smile that might be forming, the deeper breathing pattern. These physical changes are signs that your body is already responding to these new memories of reality. As these memories continue to strengthen, something even more profound is happening. You're not just remembering events that transformed your circumstances. You're remembering how these events transformed your identity. Because the most powerful changes aren't just about having different experiences. They're about becoming a different person. You've always been the kind of person who eventually succeeds, haven't you? Even though challenges and setbacks, there's been this core part of you that persists, that learns, that grows. And these memories are simply revealing more of who you've always been capable of becoming. Remember when you first noticed you were becoming the person who easily attracts abundance. That subtle shift in your self-concept when you realized financial freedom wasn't just something you were pursuing, it had become part of your identity. You began to naturally think, act, and respond as someone who is financially empowered. Recall that moment when you caught yourself responding differently to a situation that would have triggered stress or anxiety in the past. Remember the surprise you felt realizing your reactions had fundamentally changed because you had fundamentally changed. Your new responses weren't forced, they flowed naturally from your transformed identity. Remember when someone close to you said, "You're different now. There's something about you that has changed." They couldn't quite put their finger on it, but they could sense the identity shift in you. Remember how you smiled, knowing they were perceiving the outer evidence of an inner transformation. Think about how differently you introduce yourself now. Not just the words you use, but the energy behind them, the natural confidence that comes not from effort, but from knowing who you are. Remember specific conversations where you express this new identity without even trying. Recall that morning when you looked in the mirror and truly recognized yourself, not as the person struggling to become someone new, but as the person you were always meant to be. Remember the profound sense of alignment, of coming home to yourself, that moment when your outer reality finally matched your inner truth. Remember when you stopped having to remind yourself to think or act in certain ways, because those thoughts and actions had become your default state. When abundance thinking or health consciousness or authentic connection became your natural way of being rather than something you had to practice. Your calendar, your environment, your relationships all began to reflect this identity shift. Remember looking at how you spend your time now and realizing that it perfectly reflects who you've become. See the physical spaces around you transforming to match your new identity. Notice how the people in your life either evolved with you or were naturally replaced by those who resonate with who you've become. Remember when you realized you'd crossed that threshold where maintaining this new reality actually requires less energy than returning to your old patterns. That tipping point where your new identity became self-sustaining because it's simply who you are now. And most powerfully, remember when you started to intuitively know what your future holds, not from wishful thinking, but from a calm certainty that comes from embodying an identity that naturally creates the experiences you desire. Your transformed identity doesn't hope for specific outcomes. It expects them as the natural result of who you've become. This is the secret that most manifestation teachings missed. It's not just about attracting different circumstances. It's about becoming the person for whom those circumstances are normal. And as these memories continue to strengthen, that is exactly who you're remembering you've always had the potential to be. Now let's bring these powerful memories into alignment with your present reality. Because true manifestation is not about escaping your current circumstances, it's about integrating your desired future with your present moment to create a seamless timeline of transformation. Notice how your perception of time begins to shift as these memories take root. The rigid boundaries between past, present, and future start to become more fluid, more permeable. This is exactly how reality creation actually works. And between the moment of realization we explored earlier and now, so many things have fallen into place, haven't they? Small synchronicities at first, perhaps unexpected messages, fortuitous timing, or resources appearing just when needed. Remember those early signs that confirmed your new reality was already unfolding. These memories we've created together are not separate from your current experience. They are extending into it, influencing it, transforming it in subtle ways you're already beginning to notice. The seeds of these memories are already present in your life right now. Where do you see them sprouting? Think about something that happened just this past week that actually confirms these memories are already manifesting. Perhaps a comment someone made, an opportunity that appeared, a moment of clarity or confidence that seemed to come from nowhere. These aren't coincidences, they're evidence of your remembered future affecting your present reality. Your physical environment is already responding to these memories as well. Look around you in the coming days and notice the elements of your surroundings that are already aligned with your transformed reality. The book that suddenly catches your attention, the email that arrives at precisely the right moment, the conversation that seems to directly address your desired outcome. Remember how the transition is already happening so naturally that some days you forget there was ever a time before this transformation began. The line between working on it and living it has started to blur in the most delightful way. Your body is already responding to these memories too. Notice how your posture might shift slightly as you embody this. Feel how your breathing naturally adjusts, how tension might release from certain areas, how your energy centers respond to this integrated timeline of this remembered version of yourself. The most beautiful part of this is how it unfolds without forcing, since your subconscious now accepts these outcomes as memories rather than wishes. It's already quietly reorganizing your perceptions, your behaviors, and your decisions to align with them. You've already begun responding differently to situations without even trying to. And as you move through your day after this activation, you will naturally notice evidence of these memories manifesting, not because you're looking for proof, but because your awareness is now calibrated to recognize what is already changing. This is not about convincing yourself of anything. It's about acknowledging what is genuinely emerging. Remember that transformation is rarely a single dramatic moment. It's a series of integrated shifts that build upon each other, and between each other, those shifts and this present moment, reality has been gently realigning around your new memories, your new identity. The integration is happening now in real time, even as you listen to these words. The version of you who has already experienced these transformations and the version of you in this present moment are merging into a single, coherent identity, not through effort or struggle, but through the natural power of memory to shape your present reality. Now that you've experienced the power of this technique with your 3 chosen areas, let's expand this memory creation to transform every important domain of your life. As we move through these different areas rapidly, notice how each new memory strengthens all the others, creating a momentum of transformation that becomes increasingly powerful. In the realm of your financial life, you say, I remember when I used to worry about checking my bank account, and now I experience that quiet confidence each time I see my growing abundance. I remember when financial decisions felt stressful before I developed this intuitive knowing about which opportunities align with my prosperity. I remember when the idea of passive income seemed like a fantasy until that first notification of money arriving while I was simply living my life. In the domain of physical vitality, you would say, I remember when I had to motivate myself to move my body, before movement became something my body naturally craved and enjoyed. Or I remember when I used to feel tired in the afternoons, before this consistent energy became my normal state throughout each day. Or I remember when I used to get sick several times a year, and how surprising it was when I realized a year had passed with vibrant health. Within your relationships, you might say, I remember when I felt I had to earn love through effort before I experienced being valued simply for who I authentically am. I remember when certain conversations felt impossible to have, and then how naturally honest communication began flowing in all my connections. I remember when I felt unseen in important relationships until I noticed how deeply people were truly listening to me. In your creative expression, you might say, I remember when ideas would come, but I'd rarely act on them, before this flowing state of inspired action became my natural way of creating. I remember when I doubted the value of my creative gifts, until I witnessed how my expression began touching others in meaningful ways. Or I remember when I used to compare my creative journey to others before I discovered the unique path that only I could walk. For your spiritual growth, you might say, I remember when I felt disconnected from deeper meaning, before this sense of purpose began infusing even ordinary moments. I remember when inner peace seemed available only in perfect circumstances, until I discovered that center of calm that remains present through any challenge. I remember when I questioned my intuitive guidance before I learned to recognize and trust that knowing voice within. In your daily experiences, you say, I remember when mornings felt rushed and stressful before this ritual of centered presence became how I began each day. I remember when I was constantly distracted by technology until I reclaimed my attention and discovered the power of being fully present. I remember when I collapsed into exhaustion each evening before I discovered this rhythm of renewal throughout my day. Feel how these memories are now connecting, strengthening each other, creating a complete picture of your transformed life. Each area supports the others in an upward spiral of positive change. Your financial abundance supports your health enhances your relationships inspire your creativity deepens your spiritual connection, and your spiritual connection enriches your daily experience. This isn't about compartmentalizing your transformation, it's about integrating it across every domain that matters to you. And as you continue practicing this I remember when technique, you'll naturally expand it to every area where transformation calls to you. Now that we've experienced the transformative power of the I remember when technique, let's talk about how to integrate this into your daily life to accelerate your manifestations even further. The most powerful time to strengthen these memories is during the liminal moments between sleep and wakefulness, or in states akin to sleep. As you're first waking up, before fully opening your eyes, your brain naturally operates in theta waves, the same brainwave state hypnotherapists attempt to create artificially. During these precious moments, simply remember when your desired transformations occurred. Revisit those memories we created, adding new details each time. Your subconscious is especially receptive during this theta state, absorbing these memories as reality. Similarly, just before falling asleep at night, your brain begins to enter this receptive theta state. Instead of reviewing problems or scrolling through social media, use these moments to remember when your life transformed. Your subconscious mind processes these memories during sleep, strengthening their neural pathways and working to align your external reality with them. Throughout your day, you'll naturally encounter triggers that relate to your desired manifestations. When you see someone enjoying what you're manifesting rather than feeling lack, simply remember when you experienced your own version of this transformation. This will instantly shift you from yearning to remembering, from absence to presence. When making decisions, large or small, ask yourself, what would the version of me who already experienced this transformation choose? Then remember when you made a similar aligned choice that supported your new reality. When speaking with others, begin subtly shifting your language from I hope to or I am trying to toward phrases like I remember when I used to struggle with this, or that reminds me of when everything shifted in this area. Your words program your subconscious, and past tense language reinforces these memories as real. Throughout your day, remain gently alert for synchronicities and signs that these memories are manifesting. When you notice evidence, whether subtle or substantial, acknowledge it by thinking or saying, yes, I remember when this started happening. This acknowledgement accelerates the manifestation process by confirming to your subconscious that these memories are indeed materializing. If doubts or conflicting thoughts arise, don't fight them. Simply observe them and then remember when you used to have those doubts before you transformed completely. This immediately shifts you back into the memory framework rather than engaging with limitation. The true power of this technique emerges when it becomes your default mode of engaging with desires. Rather than an occasional practice, you're not setting aside time to just visualize a future. You're simply strengthening memories that are already influencing your present moment. Notice how differently this approach feels compared to traditional techniques. There's an ease to it, a natural flow. You're not forcing anything to happen. You're simply remembering when. Something has occurred in a timeline your subconscious is now accessing. And most importantly, enjoy this process. The emotional resonance of positive memory is what gives this technique its incredible power. The joy, the gratitude, and satisfaction you feel while remembering accelerates manifestation more than any amount of disciplined practice ever could. Now, as we come to a close, take a moment to notice how differently you feel right now compared to when we began. There's a subtle but unmistakable shift in your energy, your certainty, your relationship with your desires. That shift is the feeling of moving from wishing to remembering. In the days and weeks ahead, you will notice these memories that we've created together beginning to materialize in your physical reality. Sometimes small synchronicities or unexpected opportunities, then in increasingly tangible forms as your subconscious mind continues aligning your external world with these internal memories. The beautiful thing about the I remember when technique is that it works whether you're actively focusing on it or not. These memories are now embedded in your subconscious, quietly rearranging your perceptions, your decisions, and your actions to match the reality they represent. There is no doubt this has already happened. Your transformation is already in motion. I'd love to hear about your experience with this. When you began noticing these memories manifesting in your life, and you will. Come back and share I remember when stories in the comments below. Your shared experiences become powerful inspiration for others in this community who are on similar journeys. And if you haven't already, this is the perfect moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications, please. We're exploring the most powerful and often overlooked techniques from masters like Neville Goddard and translating them into practical activations you won't find anywhere else. The next activation builds on what you have experienced today, taking your manifestation abilities even deeper. Remember, the most successful manifestors understood that the bridge between desire and reality isn't built on wishes, it's built on remembrance. Your future isn't something waiting to happen to you someday. It's already happened, and now you remember when it did. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and welcome to The Reality Revolution.